that was a blooper. I might keep it. What up, YouTube? So I am going to the petting zoo today with Elle and a friend of mine. And I thought, because this friend is so insightful, she's someone that I recently met that just in random conversation I learned something from all the time. I wanted to take you along with and introduce her. A little bit of background about her. We met online. There is a app called Quilt. If you haven't joined or checked it out, you should. It is for heartfelt conversation. So it's a voice social media app, and during the pandemic I found this app and started to have conversations around parenthood, motherhood specifically, and then having other kinds of conversations that were nothing about parenthood, and found myself drawn to one of the folks on that site. Her name is Zaynab. You will meet her because of just her heart and her insight and her amazing ability to connect with people and use, you know, her life lessons in a very intentional and heartfelt way to help other people. And our first meeting, we were just supposed to have brunch, and it was supposed to be a couple hours of my day. I actually had my whole day planned out after meeting her, canceled all those plans. We hung out the whole day and just vibed out. So needless to say, we forged a friendship, and now, you know, we are meeting up again today to hang out with she, Elle, and I. So I'm going to take you along on that, pick her brain. Hopefully you guys learn some things like I do every single time I talk to this amazing person. And we'll see you when we have Zaynab with us.
City of mine, how I love the city of mine. It never gets me down. City of mine, how I love the city of mine. It never gets me down, yeah.
Okay, so finally picked up Z. I was a little late, but she's here now. Hi. So excited to have her. We are driving to get some breakfast, and
it's now lunch.
Well, it's it's lunch. I'm a mom, and things that I think are gonna take an hour take 3 now, and I'm trying to wrap my head around that. But she's been so patient. I appreciate you, and she's a foodie, so
winter is worth the wait. Note. And so is Elle. I've been wanting to meet her for a minute.
She's all dressed up for you too. We said it was going to be a sundress day because it's a gorgeous day out. And
do they know about how you tried to get dressed up for me?
I did.
Okay,
I told
so
them.
I'm getting dressed up. I got dressed up for Elle.
Thanks. Yeah, I was telling them I was so nervous about meeting you at first because you're so smart and you're just I don't know, I just get nervous around really smart intellectual people, but it was I didn't have to worry about anything when I finally met you because I just felt such a connection. We talked the whole time. It was like meeting someone I'd known my whole life.
First of all, like attracts like, and hearts attract hearts. So there you go.
Thank you.
We're done with that part of the subject.
All right, so Z, I've told them that you're just super, smart is I think that's not even the word for you. It's just I don't know.
Experience is what it is. You know how they say, wisdom comes from making mistakes. So I've made a ton of mistakes. I have a lot of experience and I can reflect back on it. So that's all it is. I've just lived.
But you know what? People can make mistakes and still be stupid and never learn from them. True. So why is it that you think that you're able to?
I'll receive it.
I mean, really, why is it
I
that
receive the lessons? Yes.
That you can take the lessons and grow, and other people just have to keep repeating.
I mean, I've had to repeat plenty of mistakes over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just that some of them finally hit me so hard that there was no other way to go. And I don't know, by nature, personally, I really like to question things. And I like things to work. So when something's not working, like eventually, one of the problems I have is that I have a tendency to want to make things work. That's why I think I end up in the negative loops for a long time, because it's like, oh, but if I try it this way, and if I do it this way, and if I do it that way, and it's like, life should not be that hard, right? Like, you should be a lot more in flow. If you're swimming upstream all the time, like, there's one thing for tenacity and for, like, putting the work in, and then there's another thing for being like, let's be real with what you're actually dealing with. Like, do you even know what you're dealing with? So that's probably a big part of it, is that finally it's like, okay, this isn't working. I'm not feeling well, or my body's not responding well, or my environment's not what I want it to be. Like, I'm the common denominator, right? So I'll take all of the good. Yeah. Thank you. I'll receive that.
Yes.
And also,
yes,
it's the beauty of honest conversation. Because if you were going to have your guard up and then try and posture in some way, or like fake your way through something, as opposed to saying like, hey, you know, this is my insecurity, or like, I'm intimidated by this, or I didn't think you'd like me, you know, it's cute.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're starting off at a really like honest place. Now, if I was a fucked up, are we allowed to cuss?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And now if I was like a fucked up person, I could take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And that exchange would have only lasted however long. Because you would have felt some kind of way.
Right.
You would have like,
I would have picked up on that.
Smiled your way through it.
Right.
And you'd have been like, so anyways, I gotta get back. The babysitter's waiting. LeJean's gotta work on this project, and I've already been gone too long. Right. Instead, we hung out till 7:30 at night.
Yeah.
Like,
and then we talked in the car.
Better than most dates.
Before, no, totally. It was the best. And so this is our second date. We are headed to lunch. I'm going to, like, this drive in itself.
I know. I keep forgetting to look at the camera because it's like too pretty up here.
I know.
So it's like, hi.
So we'll get some of that footage, and then there'll be more with Z. That should be like a new quilt room. More with Z. And we'll continue the conversation. And yeah, in the comments, how about you guys let me know who's your friend that you learn a lot from, and like, what is the thing that you learn the most from them when you're with them? I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
City of mine, how I love the city of mine. It never gets me down. City of mine, how I love the city of mine. It never gets me down, yeah.
I was born in the city, I was raised on its edges. My pop worked his life when it's complex. I found love in its center. If I could live here forever, think it'd be for the better. I love the weather, even though it's fog 24/7. I love the people, this is city. I met all my best friends, and I wanna thank every brick. I wanna thank every entrance to every building that I step in this city of mine. Oh, you most my best moments in life. See, I fell in love for the first time in Golden Gate Park. I saw my first rap show at Great American Hall. I used to beg my homies for a ride across the bridge to goof off and spend the whole damn day doing whatever we want. Keith drove us down to Ice Place while we'd roll up a blunt, and me and Jack would get stoned, walk around and get lost. Don't think I'll ever truly pay back all I was lucky to get just by walking through the city. No, I'm a small part of this.
City of mine, how I love this city of mine. It never gets me down. City of mine, how I love this city of mine. It never gets me down.
I never really had a place to call my own, so I travel and I roam till I find that. But I'm full of adventure, so I wander and I venture, and it's safe to say that really I don't mind that. I book a flight to try to figure where my mind's at, a spot where I don't spend no money, just some time at. I mix and mingle with the people till I learn a little.
So we had this beautiful plan to go to the petting zoo. I was going to record and talk, and we were going to eat lunch and talk, and I had big plans.
We did all of that, though, just not with you guys.
And Elliot, you know, she wanted to be in the mix because my baby's nosy.
And she's grown.
Yes. She kept giving Z the side eye.
This child is such a Scorpio. Let me tell you. She was judging me the whole entire time. I have pictures to prove it. You'll see.
I'll cut to one right now. So anyway, our plans changed. So we're back in the car. And maybe I'll call this the carpool lane with Z.
Like, how often do we come from a place of love versus from a place of fear?
Right.
Like, the job you choose not to leave because you're afraid of blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, it really became more of this analysis of how do we make our decisions. And I've noticed in my own self-reflection that anytime I make a decision from fear, it's backfired. I've had to come back, and yes, I've learned lessons from it. You want to know how I'm wise?
Yeah.
Because I've you know, made these decisions that I've had to go back and relearn now.
Right. So you had a quilt about imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so Wednesday we did the From Love Not Fear. And the theme this week was around imposter syndrome and keeping it real about feeling like a fake.
Yeah.
I love those things. I love coming up with names for things.
love
It doesn't
it.
matter. Half the time it's like, I think I have a note section in my phone for like book titles of books I haven't written, but I have all the titles. So after I come up with the title, I'm like, I don't need to write the book anymore. It's done. But yeah, so just inviting people to drop the term imposter syndrome, because it's really a disservice to ourselves. And a lot of people say it about themselves, right? Like, I'm just suffering from imposter syndrome, or someone will tell you like, oh, you're suffering from imposter syndrome. And I'm really big on words. So it's like, well, what does imposter mean?
Yeah.
Imposter has this like criminality to it, right? Like that your intention is to deceive, right? Like, he's an imposter, she's an imposter. Like, they knew what they were doing, and they were trying to fool you, right, and deceive you. And so you've got that for the first part, and then you have syndrome, which makes it like a medical condition, right? Which then makes you think about, you know, words like hysteria, right, and women being hysterical, right, and have to have hysterectomies, like. So when you think of the power of what these labels have behind them, and that we just willy-nilly are just like saying it, like, and owning it, like, right, and in fact thinking like next one. Also thinking that we're being really like self-aware and whatnot, right? So the invitation is, if you can take that out, and also think about this, it's most often that label is put on women. It's especially put on people of color, anyone who's marginalized, right? And then you ask yourself, why is that? Is it because you don't have the skill? Are you trying to deceive, first of all? That's what I think it needs to be. Not like, can you do the job? Or are you qualified? Are you trying to deceive? Okay? So if you're not trying to deceive and that intention isn't there, then I don't think that's the phrase that should be used. It should be something else. I feel underqualified. Or I feel underprepared.
Scared. I have fear.
Scared. Overwhelmed. You know, like whatever. Because your brain still knows what imposter means. Right? Just like
fake,
the same way
phony.
In the same way that, like, if you're talking to your child, like, and they did something wrong, they're not a bad child. They did something that was like unpleasant, inconvenient, you know, out of character, whatever the thing is, right? But you're not a bad kid because you spilled something.
And what's funny is most women are, you know, hold it or claim that title of, you know, imposter syndrome, and there's probably a lot more men who could use it. Could be honest.
By its real definition, if we reevaluated that, I'm sure we would change our position. But then the reality of it is, if you think about the fact that most people the way that we've come to understand the term, right? How often are you made to feel that way because maybe you're not being supported at work?
Yeah.
Maybe there's discrimination.
Yeah.
Maybe there are biases involved. Maybe you're dealing with incompetent people.
Right.
Like, actually, it's not you, it's them.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so then you start to, like, feel like you don't belong, or you're purposely, it's designed for you to not feel like you belong, so you take yourself out. You negotiate against yourself going in because you're like, I don't even know that I should be here, so I'm going to go in and, I won't ask for as much because I want to get the job.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think because we're coming without all the other stuff. Right? So you're not coming with the history of what happened in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not coming with the history of how, you ghosted me when you had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or the mean girl talk, or all the other stuff that comes in it, right? Or we're coming because we have a specific thing that we're trying to accomplish, which is like holding space for each other.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I think that's a testament to what happens when you actually listen to people.
Yeah.
I bet you the same friends, if they were to meet you through Quilt, you would have a different
dynamic. Yeah, totally.
To be an active listener, to care more about listening
than
talking.
That's exactly what I have used Quilt for in my own. I mean, I guess it's selfish, but it's not at the end of the day. But I always say Quilt is my practice of listening, because you really have the best conversations and the best quilts when you do listen and actively listen, and you can tell who is and who isn't. And I realized that I was not a very good active listener, and I teach this stuff, and professionally, and it's like, oh wow, like I think professionally I'm a good active listener,
Sure.
When my money's on the line.
Yeah.
But like in personal relationships, I'm not very good at that. So.
But again, you also don't have your hang-ups in your professional relationships.
Yeah, very
someone's
true.
already respecting you as an expert.
Yeah,
right? So
totally.
they're like, oh, and you know how to show up for that. In our personal lives, it's like, whether it's with your friends or your family, like I still regress to being a kid around my mom. What's for dinner?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm grown ass. I can make my own food and,
Right.
But when I go to visit my mom, especially when I travel and I come back, like she turns into mom and I turn into the little kid.
Yeah.
So imagine that on the emotional level with your friends or with your family and all of that. So
it's hard when you have these big transitions in your life, and when you feel like you've made these big leaps and bounds in relation to people who knew you.
Yeah.
They can't see the new you, or what you feel or perceive as the new you. They can't see it. And also, you want them to get on board too, because, oh my God, I'm this,
right.
I've learned this thing,
Well, and there's two things to consider there. One, again, going back to the humility, is that how many, you have probably had friends fall away from you because they were going through their growth and you didn't see it. So you didn't see them growing either.
Yeah.
Right? So like, just because, and it's this, it's just our ego. When we know something to be real for ourselves, all of a sudden we want the rest of the world to catch up to where we are.
Right.
But you have to be just as compassionate with them to say, hey, I figured this out for myself on my timeline, right? And just like how you didn't learn it on somebody else's timeline who may have been ahead of you, it may take them a minute to show up and be able to meet you where you're at. Or they've got to, but you have to still honor who you are now. You don't regress because they're not there.
They're not there, yeah.
You have to continue to walk, this path with whatever your new knowing is. And also, again, the humility to stay open that you may have not gotten it right. If you have a toxic relationship with yourself, you're gonna attract other people that are toxic too. So then it's muddy, because then it's really easy to be like, oh, they're that.
Yeah.
They have bad behavior.
Yeah. So like if I can't, keep my promises to myself.
Correct.
when people aren't showing up for me the way they say they are or they will,
Right.
I will be so used to not showing up for myself or keeping promises to myself that might be okay. Is that kind of,
yeah.
like,
I mean, if you don't honor yourself,
yeah,
you're gonna excuse that behavior. Actually, is what's gonna
totally
happen.
Yeah. I love talking about passion, and I love just the conversation around what people's passions are.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you passionate about right now?
I am passionate about, oh God, this is going to sound so cliche. Life and the fact that I have a chance to live it. I mean, if this past year wasn't, a testimony to the fact that none of it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that I'm looking at, an ocean that's sparkling like diamonds, and you've got this gorgeous scenery and the sun on you and everything else. But even in the darker times, like, I get to be here. If you've ever been in the hospital, if you've ever been in that position where you're doubled over in pain, that's all you want is relief, right? And you're like, either take me out,
right,
which you really don't want, right? Because everything in you is still fighting to be, or you start to like negotiate and make promises to, if you don't believe in God, God comes in at that point, right? You're like, whoever is on call today, please call in the prophets, the gods, everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to live. And all of a sudden, everything is so simple.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm passionate about. The fact that I get a chance to be here, and I want it to be the best experience it can be for me. And I can control that. But if I can also help it be a better experience for you, then that brings me joy.